and I'm going to take the lead on this next part of the presentation specific to US 36. Mayor Matt Applebaum lives and breathes this, maybe even more than I do. So he will, I'm sure, pipe in with some things he can say that
just
I did not.
So just the groans from the side.
And I know you do have to get up to the university, and the head of our chamber, John Terry, just walked in, so I'm going to be sensitive to time here. And it's just about 14 years worth of work in just 10 slides. So this is going to be super high level. My kids were just starting school when we started working on this, and I now have a sophomore in college and another one about to graduate from high school. And here's really looking back. So US 36, it's the primary connector between Denver and Boulder. It is literally an Eisenhower-era highway. It was built in 1952. Last year was the 60th anniversary of the highway. Very dated facility. And you heard quite a bit from Kathleen about the in-commuter trend that we have here. Well, US 36 is our heaviest traveled, most heavily traveled corridor into the community in the morning. It used to be back in the 90s that more people were leaving Boulder in the morning than coming in, but around the mid-90s, that trend flip-flopped. We have a very big in-commuting level of activity. So US 36 was a primary corridor for us to go to work on regionally, and with the activity that you've heard about, we have the federal labs, the University of Colorado, a lot of high-tech biotech, so really important to the whole region that the US 36 corridor runs effectively. So, as I noted, it's very much an aging infrastructure. The bridges were crumbling, the pavement's crumbling. You probably had the lovely experience of enjoying the construction zone on your way here. Was it last night? Well, it was back in the 90s that we started to look at the US 36 corridor. We have incredibly diverse political views along this corridor. It is not all like Boulder. Westminster on the eastern end is much more conservative from a political perspective, and then we have everything in between as you move west. So we have great political diversity. CDOT did initiate, our Colorado Department of Transportation initiated a study back in the later 90s. There was a lot of debate going on. CDOT wanted to expand this 2 lanes in each direction into 6 lanes in each direction. There was a lot of heartburn about that in the community. We also had a lot of discussion around, well, what could transit look like, and what were other things that we could do with tolling perhaps. So it was a very hot conversation, and one of the things that all the communities could agree on is that we didn't want someone else to come up with the solution. We wanted to come up with it ourselves. So there was a coalition that gathered the 6 communities, Westminster, Broomfield, Louisville, Superior, Boulder, and Boulder County. We decided to get together and come up with the solution ourselves, and then move forward with how to get it done. So, the US 36 Mayors and Commissioners Coalition formed in 1999. And that group got behind closed doors and debated and talked about the different options and what would work for all of our communities. Not just the elected officials from those communities, but staff members came and joined that conversation to provide some of the technical information. And what the group came up with was, you know, as we move into the future and to carry all the people that we need to carry and to serve all the businesses we need to serve, we really need a multimodal corridor. We need to have bus rapid transit. We need to have some general purpose improvements, particularly on the east end of the corridor is where those communities were most interested in general purpose transit. We also have a significant bicycling community in this region, so bicycling needs to be a part of it. And also some management of acceleration, deceleration, and even just upgrading. We had very dated designs and how this corridor worked. We also looked at the time, and I'm not going to be able to get into this part of the discussion. At the time we thought, well, while the corridor is under construction, there is an existing freight rail track. While it's under construction, for mitigation purposes, let's run a passenger rail service along this freight rail line, which would serve most of the communities along the corridor. So that was also part of the conversation. One of the challenges we knew early on would be that there is no single funding source for all of those different options. This is just an image of the corridor, Denver being at the bottom, and then Boulder being up at the top left there of that graphic. This is the highway corridor itself, and so bus rapid transit and bikeway all along here. General purpose lanes more to the east end of the corridor, and then the green line is that freight rail track that we thought of as a construction mitigation idea. So that's what the multimodal agreed vision became for this US 36 Mayors and Commissioners Coalition. We then had to go through this all over again with an environmental impact statement. And so we continued our coalition effort. We had mayors and county commissioners turn over during this entire time. We still had staff members involved. But the vision really was maintained over time, even with the turnover of elected officials. And we did come to a record of decision, so just think it started way back in 1999. In 2009 was when the record of decision was signed. It was right around Christmas, actually. It was a Christmas present in 2009. And what that approved was one managed lane in each direction. So tolling did come into this solution. And the managed lane prioritizes bus rapid transit first, carpools second, and excess capacity is for paying single occupant vehicles. So that was really important that transit be a top priority. When the coalition agreed to move toward tolling, the tolling was to manage the performance of the corridor, not so much for the revenue that it would be bringing in. And so that's why bus rapid transit first, carpool second, and paying single occupant vehicles third. You're delivering more people, you're delivering more mobility on that corridor by having that kind of priority. Again, we also had some of the operational improvements of acceleration and deceleration lanes. The bikeway along the corridor, and this is not about people riding from Boulder to Denver. We have a lot of travel between the communities throughout the day in both directions. So whether you're riding from Boulder to Superior, Louisville to Westminster, so it's not just the bikeway along the corridor, it's how that bikeway connects with each of the communities along the way. We also saw this from a sustainability perspective, that you're providing all of this mobility in a smaller footprint. Imagine that we kind of kidded around that 6 lanes in each direction that CDOT originally proposed, we're going to need to factor in the curvature of the earth as we engineered and designed that system. But here we were able to have a smaller footprint with greater mobility with this approach. And also during the 2000s, the rail was separated into a different study process. And again, that would be another presentation probably to talk about the rail aspect. With the shared agreement, with the signed record of decision, the coalition then has turned its attention to the funding. Again, there is no single color of money that will fund a project like this. So we started working with our Colorado Department of Transportation, the Regional Transportation District, which has a regional mass transit system with its funding. And we started applying for federal grants. We applied for the Urban Partnership Agreement. We applied for another congestion management grant program. And we finally struck something when Tiger came up, and we applied for the Tiger program, which is Transportation Infrastructure Generating Economic Recovery. It was part of the whole stimulus program with the Obama administration. So we got a $10 million grant. Well, this is an over $400 million project, but that got us started. And that $10 million grant was, they called it a Tiger Challenge Grant. And what they did was they challenged us to come up with a way to do a TIFIA loan, which is another good acronym. I'm not sure